Good evening. Hello and welcome to everybody here on this incredible masterclass. My name is Kim Calvert and it is my honor of all nights to be here serving you from a place of love, serving you from a place of wanting you to understand love more. And I think tonight of all nights, this is the night we want to feel love in our hearts. We want to open our minds and we want to start to live openly, live freely, and live fully for sure. So it is absolutely incredible to be here with you. My goodness, I think we're going to break the internet dynamite style. Hundreds and thousands, in fact, have registered for this masterclass tonight. And I am just so honored and so grateful that you have made a great decision to be here tonight and to hear and understand some of the incredible teachings from Mr. Bob Proctor. So you're very welcome. Now, just before I really get started, can everybody see and hear me okay? Good. Okay, great. Well, let me stop sharing my screen and we will. There we go. All right. So good to be here. How's everyone feeling? I hope you can feel the energy. That's what I want you to feel tonight. That is what tonight is about. The good type of energy. And I am, as I say, I'm just so grateful to be here. Now, obviously, we're very aware that, of course, Bob has transitioned into his eternal journey and is not with us here in the physical plane, but he is certainly live here tonight on your frequency wave and my frequency wave, and we are going to enjoy, celebrate, and share this incredible material because that's exactly what Bob would be wanting right now. So I want to take that second, that time, that moment to, I'm not even sure what, but take that moment of knowing that things have changed. But guess what, guys? Things are changing all the time. What did Bob say? Change is inevitable. It's personal growth that is a choice. So I want us tonight to really come here with so much passion, so much love, so much eagerness to figure out how you can start living a life full of love, full of joy in an effortless way. Tonight, I really want to delve into this topic of love with you. And my goodness, we had this planned way long before we heard the news of obviously Bob and my mentor, friend, father-like figure passing on last Friday. But I made a decision in my own heart and in my own mind of this has got to continue. We got to keep moving forward. Now, if you are here and you're kind of going, hold on, who's Bob Proctor? I'm not sure. I mean, there was thousands of people registered. I'm going to guess most of you know who Bob Proctor is. And of course, he is my mentor, is still my mentor and will continue to be my mentor. He always told me about how his mentor is still Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale. So I've been given some incredible lessons and I have really taken them and moved forward in my life and created such great abundance, as most of you know if you've been following. If you haven't, then in short, in the last 6 years, I've went from being totally lost, not in love with me, not in love with anybody, kind of just hating the world, which is, of course, the polar opposite of love, having £4.20 in my pocket, to now being so proud to wear this executive diamond pin and be the pillar of PGI, be Bob Proctor's #1, but most importantly, I'm living life on my terms and I'm living life fully. And that is the gift that Bob Proctor gave to the world, to so many millions, and he certainly gave it to me. So tonight, I really think that this is such a perfect topic. And we're going to kind of go off script slightly in the sense of we're going to explore this topic. And I really want you, if you're here, if this is the first time you've heard me speak or have come to one of these, then I ask you just to take a moment to just make a decision that you're going to get the most out of this. Because there's a reason that you're here. Everybody decided to come here for a reason. So there's an intention. And I think in every single, it's something Bob definitely passed on to me. It's something I give to my clients. Be intentional when you show up to things like this. Now, if you're not sure, what does that mean, Kim? It means, what do you want to get out of this? Why are you here? And it's such a great question to ask ourselves at the start of anything, before we read, before we study, before we do anything, even if it's strategies or in our business. Why am I doing this? What is the outcome that I want to achieve? And we're always working from the wish fulfilled. So tonight I ask you to ask yourself, why am I here? Why did I show up? What is it about love that has attracted me to this particular masterclass? And even if you don't know, here's the good news. You're going to find out. You will know by the end of this call why you're here. And even the people that maybe think they know why they're here, you might realize, oh no, that's why I was here. I had to hear that. So I really welcome you to being open to this, and I welcome you here on this masterclass. Now, when we think about the topic of love, I mean, I essentially had picked this topic because, of course, it is Valentine's week. And I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea to kind of talk about love? It's something we all know. It's something that we all have a perception around. And it's very interesting because a lot of us think very differently about the word love. And as I sat to create this presentation, the thoughts that ran through my mind was, some people have love, some people don't. Some people have found love, some people are looking for it. Some people love certain types of people, certain types of people. Some people love different types of people. It is so varied that it really starts to ask the question, what is the meaning of love? And I don't really think it's something we're taught about that much. I think if we're all honest, we kind of stumble through life picking up perceptions and concepts of what we deem love is. And then, of course, we go out and we go through trials and errors and heartbreaks and loves at first sight. And we go through all these different things. And we never really examine what is love. Now, the other interesting thing about love is you can't see it. Now think about that for a second. You cannot see love. You can see expressions of love. If I give you a hug, that will be an expression of a type of love. And there's actually 4 different types of love. That will be a friendly love. Then, of course, there's a romantic love. Then there's a love for like a parent. And then there's a love that is about oneness, which is about infinite power. And that's kind of what I want to talk about tonight with you. And I'm going to really explore what love means. Now, you might be wondering from the outset, Kim, why do I need to know about this? How is this going to improve my life? How does this help me improve the results that I'm getting in my life? Well, it is everything. Because really, guys, love is all that really matters. And I don't say that to be cheesy. I don't say that because it's a nice line. I think if we're really, truly honest and we look at everything, it always comes back to love. Now, that doesn't always mean that it's always loving. You see, in this world, it's either about love or it's about hate. It's 2 ends of the same thing. And that's what we really want to look at tonight, because essentially, you've got to figure out where you're at in terms of your energy. And why this is important is because when you really get to the understanding that love is really the most important thing, and if we learn to program our minds to come from a place of love and service in everything that we do, you would live a very prosperous, abundant, fulfilled life. You would have freedom. And I believe that everybody on this call is really here because you want freedom. You want possibly freedom in mind. You possibly want freedom in emotions. Or you possibly want freedom in your day-to-day life. Have more money so that you have more options to choose what you truly want to do. Everybody wants to live a life that they love, but not everybody does. And we've got to ask ourselves, why is there all these interesting things? Okay, you can't see this thing called love. We love different things in different ways. Some people have love, some people don't. The other thing is you can't buy it. So when we really start to ask ourselves, what is this thing that we're all chasing, that we all want, that we're all giving attention to? And I don't think many people ever look at this. And yet, if you do, it is the most simplest way that you can live your life. The reason that I made such a transformation in my life was because I started to love me. Not from an egotistical point of view, not from a showing off point of view, but you may resonate, but I went through many, many years, and I'm not even sure why. I still don't really know what the cause of it was, but I had a real deep feeling that I wasn't good enough. Has anyone ever felt that? And I also had a very, very, very deep, profound belief that I was unlovable. Absolutely. Like I've shared this on many different masterclasses. If you'd have met me 6 years ago, I wouldn't have looked at you. Not because I didn't want to look at you, but I didn't even want to see you looking at me. I didn't want to be in photographs. I didn't want to speak to people. And the little tape that was going on inside was not very loving. Can anybody relate to that? People are saying yes, totally. Okay. That was a very dark way to live. And when I think about the word love, I also think about the word light. And ultimately, none of us want to live in the dark. But yet a lot of us are stumbling about in the dark, trying to work out how to do this. And all we have to do is just flick the switch. Now, the thing is, guys, you don't try to find the dark switch. You find the light switch. When there is darkness, we don't go and try and find the dark switch. Now, think about this for a second. Yet, in our life, sometimes we do this. We've got a problem, and all we want to do is give more attention to the problem to make the problem go away. But that's not going to work when you understand the mind and how energy operates. So the key is you've got to realize that there is a stream of well-being flowing in this universe. And I'm going to break all of this down. This is just kind of setting the tone. But there's a stream of well-being, and just think of it like light. And either you're a great expression of this light, living life on your terms, loving what you do every day, loving who you're with, loving the body you're in, the mind you're in, either loving or not loving. Because you got to be somewhere on this scale. Now, what I'm going to show you tonight as we go through this is to understand the science behind love. Now, sometimes there are people who go, oh no, hold on, don't be mixing science with love. But why not? Now, I believe love, well, it's not even that I believe, I know love is the most powerful magnetic force in the universe. It is the most powerful magnetic force in the universe. And what I'm going to show you tonight is when you learn the science, how you can then embrace that more in your life to enrich other people's lives, which will return to you an abundance of pretty much anything that your heart desires. But you've got to know what you want. And then you've got to fall in love with that. And in order to understand this process, I want you to think about this light and this darkness. Okay. I'm going to read something to you just to kind of get you to understand where I'm coming from. So it says here, there is only a flow of stream of well-being that flows. You can allow it or you can resist it, but it flows just the same. You would not walk into a brightly lit room and look for the dark switch. In other words, you would not expect to find a switch that would flood an inky darkness into a room to cover the brightness of the light. You would find a switch that would resist the light, for in the absence of the light, there is darkness. And in like manner, there is not a source of evil, but there could be a resisting of that which you believe is good. Just as there is not a source of sickness, but there could be a resistance to the natural of well-being. Now, that's going pretty deep as soon as we kick off this masterclass. But I'm going deep because, well, the more you love deeply, the better life is. In fact, if you look up what does love mean in the dictionary, it says an intense feeling of deep affection. So we're going to look at love from all different angles. We're going to look at what is the love for yourself? What is the love for your life or your goals? How does this affect your relationships, in your friendships, your actual loving relationships, as in a partner, a wife, a spouse? How does this impact in your business? So this one topic can relate to every single area of your life. And I think that is very seen. People don't really, they're just looking at strategies. I'm just looking, how do I solve this problem? And as I want you to learn tonight, the only reason that it became bright in this room was because I let the light flow. I switched the light on. And if I want it to go dark, I put resistance on the energy and the electricity that's coming into the bulb, and then darkness comes. Now, what I want you to get from this by the end of tonight, I want you to realize that you maybe haven't put your light on just as brightly as it could be. And when, because there will always be darkness. There can't be light if there's no darkness. Remember that. There's no such thing. Everything has a polar opposite. And you want to really start to get rid of this restricting the flow. If you experience in your life times where you're tired than what you feel you should be, when you procrastinate, when you doubt, when you worry, that's when you're restricting the flow of the light through you. Okay, so what is this light I'm talking about? Because there's definitely no LEDs coming from inside me. Now, if you're new to this is a big idea, but it is one that has been taught to me. It's one that the world has been working and operating on for the beginning of time. And tonight, when I was just prepping, I lifted up one of my books that I had got Bob to sign just back in November. And he says, this is your book to guide you to your place, love and light. And it made me smile. And on the very first chapter, it says that the light is consciousness. Consciousness is one manifesting in lesions and forms of levels of consciousness. There is no one that is not all that is, for consciousness, though expressed in an infinite series of levels, is not divisional. Now, if you're brand new, you might be going, what did you just say? Because I know I did when I first used to study with this and with Bob. And this is something I teach our clients. And essentially what I want you to understand tonight is you're the light. You have an infinite potential within you. It is ever present. There is an energy. Now, really think about this. There's an energy flowing to and through you. Now, some people might go, I'm not sure I buy this. Okay, great. What is it that's keeping your heart going? Not many people can give me a great answer after that. What is it that is making you, because you know you're not just your name or your body, you know that there's something within you. Look, why did you not marry everybody? Why was it that one person that you just felt that love for? You see, what we've got to realize and what we've got to waken up to is that there is a power that is all around us. And this power, we believe in it because I know that you have love in your life. You've probably lost love in your life. You've probably had your heart broken. And you know what that feels like. It hurts inside. Now, you can't tell me that that's nothing. Where did that pain come from? Where did that moment when your wee baby was just born and placed in your arms, that feeling? That's not nothing. That is something. And I believe and I know that if we can get back to connecting with that feeling, your entire life will improve in every area. You'll earn more money. You will have better health. You will have better relationships. You will be more creative. You will be fitter. You will be healthier. There is no downsides to being a bigger, fuller expansion and expression of love. Love is everything. And I think it all starts with ourselves. Again, you might be able to resonate, but I had an awful time in relationships many years ago. And I just don't know what was wrong. I just kept attracting people that weren't treating me right. Has anyone ever felt that or experienced that? And it didn't matter. Yeah, okay, great, we got people. And sometimes you would end a relationship and you'd be in another one and you would almost be like, is this deja vu? It's just in a different body this time. Now that happened to me. That was a pattern that happened to me. And the pattern was people didn't love me. They didn't treat me good. Now, of course, that's because I'm unlovable and not good enough, right? Well, that's what my mind was telling me, but that was incorrect. And then we've got to ask ourselves, why do I not love me? Where did that come from? You didn't pop out and suddenly go, I don't love me. We've picked this up somewhere along our path. That is why, if I was to ask all of you here tonight, what is the meaning of love? You would all give me a different answer. And here's the thing, guys. It's your perception that is the difference. We all have different perceptions on what love is. Why? Because we've all had different experience of love. So we've picked up experiences, some good, some not so good. And this is what has created you. This is your set point towards love. Now, I don't know where I picked it up that I wasn't good enough, but I picked it up. And that carried on into my early 20s, late 20s, 30s, and it wasn't working out. Now, here's what I discovered. I didn't love me, so how could anybody love me? When I first met Bob Proctor, I thought I was so unworthy. And the quote that many of you have heard me say before, if I want to be free, then I've got to be me. Not the me that you think I should be, not the me that my parents think I should be, not the me that anybody thinks I should be. But if I want to be free, then I've got to be me. So I better know who me is. Now, here's the joke. I didn't love me and I didn't even know me. So why did I automatically put myself down? Well, I'm not the only person that's done that. A lot of people do that. A lot of times you've thought they can do that, but I can't do that. That's for them, but not for me. So much so that a lot of us has settled. We're not really in love, we're in habit. And I'm going to show you what that looks like tonight. And that's why I say tonight, you're going to hear exactly what you need to hear in respect to love. But I want you to ask yourself right now, what is the image on the screen of your mind when you think about love? What is the feeling that you get when you think about love? What is your perception or concept of love? It's a really good question to ask. What do you believe? What are your beliefs around love? Now, there's no right or wrong in this because everything's perceptional. Now, what I want you to realize tonight is you can change your perception. Not only can you change your perception, but you can start to learn a very simple process to staying in charge no matter the circumstance, and coming from a place of love in all that you do will help you live a rich life because it keeps you on the right path. You want to be in the light, not in the darkness. Now, I heard a great quote the other day when I was studying, and it says, how long does man need to stay in the darkness until they can go into the light? And the answer was until the man can see in the dark. Now, if you've studied any of Bob's material or you're one of my clients, you might work out what that means. You see, the only way that you can ever move from pains or struggles or dark times in your life to a place of love is you've got to be able to see what you want from the place of where you currently don't want to be. You've got to move into your imagination. You've got to start to create a new vision. What do I really want? What would I really love in my life? Now, I don't think there's enough times that we can ask that question. Even I myself in the last 3 days have been sitting down and getting serious and going, what is it that I truly want? Because if there's anything that we've learned is you die once, but you get to live many times. You get to live every day, but you only die once. And time is not promised to anybody. And again, you're probably spending time worrying about things that really don't matter. Do you know so many times we miss the magical, special, beautiful moments in life because we're worried about emails or not getting a project finished or getting back to somebody while you're trying to, teach your child to read or something. You see, we live in a world right now that's very noisy. And we live in a world that love is not really seen enough. Now, what is the polar opposite to love? Well, that is hate. And we can see that in the world, but there's also love in the world. And this is why I am so grateful to Bob for teaching me how I can control my perception, which controls my reality. Because in this universe and in this world that we live, both love and hate or pain, light and darkness exist. So you get to decide which you want to have in your life. And if you do not know how to flip the switch, well, then that's something that we're going to explore tonight. So I really want you to realize no matter how dark it may feel, no matter struggles or trials and tribulations that you've been in your life, all it takes is one little glimmer of light to completely change things. And as Bob has often said to me, everything that you've experienced in your life right up until this point was necessary to creating you into the person that you want and need to become to have the things that you truly want. I think everybody would agree they want love in their life, yes? Well, then you're going to have to realize that if you want the lightness in your life, that you've got to learn to manage the darkness. Because you can't have just light. You can't have an up without a down. You can't have an inside and not have an outside. Now, this is one of the universal laws. And the reason that I actually called this webinar Love was because my definition of love is levels of vibrational energy. And that's why I say you are love. Because everybody is in a high speed of vibration. And that's what we're going to get into tonight. You see, you are not your name. You're not your body. You're not your title. You are the most powerful, infinite being on this planet. Now, depending on the degree to you believing me in that statement, I know it's true. I've seen this too often, too many times in my own life, too many times with clients, that I know that you can feel that there's more inside you. That is the light wanting to express itself through you. But depending on your perception, your beliefs, your habits, then that's what you're going to see in the world. So what I really want to help you tonight is to, if you have a dimmer switch, we have a dimmer switch in this room, I want us to turn the dimmer switch on. I want you to allow more of this energy, which is flowing to you every day in every way, doesn't stop whether you believe this or not. It's happening. And if you can learn to grab onto this creative energy and start to use it for good, start to work from a place of love and service, then you're going to harness the universal power. And what did I say? Love is the most magnetic, powerful energy in this world. So what we're going to be looking at is how we can start to keep it simple. How can we stop trying to fight outside circumstances? You know, so many wars, arguments, fights, famines would all be totally solved if we would move on to the love more. But that's what's called ignorance. When you don't know, you don't know. Okay? So I will use my example as we go through tonight, because I remember when I first started studying with Bob, he used to read all these different little books. You know, he read this little book called As a Man Thinketh. Most of you, I think, would possibly have heard of it. And this is a very famous, very old English writer. But I'm sure you've heard this little quote. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man or woman thinketh in their heart, so are they. And what we've got to realize is, what does that mean? Well, all science, all theology have taught us we become what we think about. So when you think back to me 6 years ago, what did I think about me? I didn't think very much about me. I thought I wasn't good enough. I thought I couldn't. I thought I was unlovable. So the results in my life were equal and opposite, which means I attracted more of that into my life in an opposite direction. I was putting it out, now it's coming back at me. That's how life works. Your attitude to life is going to be life's attitude to you. And the simple scenario, and what we'll get to at the end of this, is if you want more love in your life, you've got to give more love. If you want more patience in your life, you've got to give more patience. Do you know how many couples end up breaking up or in divorce because they just simply can't communicate? Well, I'm going to explain the 3 levels of communication tonight. So many people don't really know what it means to be in love and then settle. And I don't think that's fair on anybody. I want everyone to be living life how they truly want, experiencing life, because the money, you can't take that with you. You can't take anything with you. So it's the experiences and the love in life that really matters. Now, as a man thinketh, or James Allen, he says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It says, as the plant springs form and could not be without the seed, So every act of man springs from the hidden seeds of thought. And I said earlier, all science and all theology have taught us we become what we think about. Well, I was thinking about me not loving me and not being good enough. So I attracted people that did not treat me well because that's what I was thinking. Now, if you're really listening to this, you can change your whole world by changing your thinking process. Somebody today texts me on social media and says, Kim, just tell me the one thing that Bob Proctor told you to do to change your whole life. Okay, change my thinking process. That's it. That was the answer. Now there's a process to that. It's very straightforward. It's science. So just like anything else, you got to work by the ingredients. If you bake a cake, you have to do it by the recipe or you will not get the outcome. So James Allen talked about this in this book. And he says, well, sum it up. If you plant a seed in your garden, it will grow. But if you plant the seed and dig it up or check every day or so, has that grown yet? Has that grown yet? It isn't going to grow because you're disturbing it. And this is what you've got to realize. You have got to plant new ideas into your subconscious mind. Now, I'm going to break this down in a drawing for you because I think it's very important that you understand how all of this works. You have to understand who you are and how you operate, or you're never going to know who you are. Many people don't love themselves because they just simply don't know themselves. When you get to know you, the real you, not the you that you've been told you are, not the you that family or friends, school has told you are, but when you really get to the understanding and get to that feeling that you know's been pulling you, then there's no limit to what you can do. Okay. Now I mentioned that the word love means levels of vibrational energy. Now, what on earth does that mean? Well, when I learned this, it changed everything, my whole perception around the word love. And I want to explain this to you because you'll start to understand life better. Okay. Now, the first thing that we've got to look at is, I said it is levels of vibrational energy. Okay. This is what I believe love is. Levels of vibrational energy. Now, you might go, right, I wasn't sure I was ready for a science degree, but don't worry, it's not one. It's very simple. You, as an individual, whether you know it or not, you're made of energy. Okay? Your body has got energy. There's energy flowing to and through you at all times. It's what keeps you ticking. Okay? Now, once that energy leaves the body, well, the body is no longer alive. But what we understand about energy is that, and you might remember this from school, I know I do, one thing I think I listened to was energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just moves from one form into another form, and then back into another form, and then into another form. Every single thing in this universe is made up of energy and matter. Your energy. Now, you also got to ask yourself, what does this big word vibration mean? Well, vibration is another way of saying your feelings. So if I'm in a bad mood, you could also say I'm consciously aware I'm in a low vibration of energy. And when you're in a low vibration of energy, well, things don't tend to go so great. Now, to give you a bit of an idea of what this could look like or mean for you, I'm going to put these little lines, and these are going to be called frequencies. Okay. Now, If there's any engineers on the call or anybody that's into music or anything like that, you will know and you've heard that energy operates on frequency waves. Okay. That is just basic science. All right. And if you, even right now, I'm sure around you, you've got some batteries somewhere. And when you look in the wee batteries, there are pluses and there are minuses. Agreed? Yeah. And when you put them in the remote control upside down, they don't work. Agreed? Now, is it because there's no power in the battery, or is it because you didn't put it in the right way? It's because you didn't put it in the right way. Now, this is kind of like life. We need to kind of take the batteries out and put them round the right way and put them back in again, right? How many times have you heard people say, oh, I'm taking this weekend off because I just want to recharge the batteries? Okay, so I think we all do have a certain grasp of understanding. We operate with energy. The food that we eat that goes into our body is energy. It changes form, it breaks down, it moves into the body, it supplies the nutrients. So that's an example of how, let's say, a piece of chicken moves into form, replenishes the body, and then we get rid of it again. Okay? Energy is always in a speed of vibration. That means when things are in a very high speed of vibration, when we're up at here at the plus, there's lots of energy. Okay? When a battery is low in energy, just for an example, well, then we're going to be at the other end of the scale. Okay. Now, a lot of people in life, you will know, there are some people and they say, oh, I just don't have energy. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I don't have enough money. Blaming the world, not taking responsibility, X, Y, Z. Okay. That person, and if it's you, I would say, okay, well, just kind of realize that. Okay. There's no point in going, oh, that's me, and trying to hide away from it. Like, I don't care if it's you, because I'm going to help you. And that's the key to a happy life. Then we all know somebody who has loads of energy and they just have these great thriving relationships and they hang out with really cool people and they have money and it seems to be really good. But most people can experience life like this. And you've maybe seen me draw this before. Good days, not so good days. Loads of energy, not so much energy. Now here's the thing, what goes up must come down. How many times have you had your kids and you're like, don't eat sweets before bedtime or they're going to be bouncing all over the place? Okay. Because once they start bouncing all over the place, you know there's going to be a crash coming soon, don't you? Yeah. So the key to life is not this up and down motion, which is exhausting, which is why we're so tired. We're responding or reacting to life instead of responding. You want to start to understand how you can control the level of your energy. And believe it or not, it all comes back to love. Because the energy in which you're given out to the world is being completely controlled by you. You just maybe don't know it. Okay? So what I want you to understand is there are levels of vibrational energy. And depending on the level in which you're existing, depending on the amount of love that you are giving and helping other people, the better life will be. Now, life is also better here than it is here. And the real truth of it is there's an infinite amount of levels. There's an infinite amount that way and there's an infinite amount that way. Why? Because with energy, there's no start and no end. It's infinite. Now, we are not infinite. We have infinite potential, but we're not going to live forever because we live in a physical body. So I truly believe the key to life is to have the best time ever when we're here. Now, it won't always be sunshine and rainbows. It can't be. Or we wouldn't have the good if we didn't know that there was going to be something else. But we do not have to accept the other. See, it all comes down to attitude. Now, I said that there are 3 levels that I wanted to talk about tonight. Okay, 3 levels of understanding, 3 levels of how we operate as a human being. And most people don't know this, so you don't actually know how awesome you are. And when you don't know how awesome you are, you're not going to use your potential. And really think about this. Let's pretend that you have a car, and let's just say it is a Mini, right? But it has a Ferrari engine in it, but you don't know that. And the Mini is rusted, and the Mini is pretty gross, to be honest, and it's tiny, and its bumper's hanging off, and you're just kind of like, oh, I don't really want the Mini. But you don't know there's a Ferrari engine inside. That's kind of what happens to us. I had so much potential. I had so much in me, but I didn't know me. So I couldn't possibly claim all the greatness that's been in this life for me. I was claiming not great things, not enough money, not great things happening. And that's because that's all I was thinking about. We become what we think about. Now, if you can really resonate with this up and down, relationships going up and down, like how many times have you been in a relationship and the other person says things are going to be different this time? Now, isn't it interesting that there are hundreds of people on here and you're all smiling? That means you know what I'm talking about, which means it's happening all over the world and none of us know each other. So there's got to be a pattern. There's got to be a reason for this, right? Well, this is patterns. And what I realized was I was the problem and I was the solution. So how did I come to this awareness? Well, Bob taught me that we live on 3 levels. I did not know that. I thought I was just Kim, pretty short, come from Northern Ireland. I would like to have a wee bit more money and freedom and do what I want. Like that was my thinking. That was about the vast, and I had no goals. I had never even thought about goals. Never mind know how on earth results happen. Now, what Bob has always shared, and I'll always be sharing it, is a certain little diagram called the stick person. And the stick person is the best idea that Bob Proctor had ever come across, because it was the best way to explain who we are, where we're going, and how to get there. And that's my first question to you. Do you know who you are? Do you understand how you operate? How on earth do you even get results that you're getting? Like, who is it that picks which level that you're going to live life on? The high life or the not so high life? Like, who chooses that? I mean, it's a pretty important thing that nobody was taught in school. And you're living life and you're getting results on life, and your results, let's just say your results are here. Well, then that tells me you're thinking on this level. You'll always get results on the same level of what you're thinking. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. It's who you believe you are. If you believe you're not good enough, guess what? You're going to find things in your life to prove to yourself you're not good enough. And when 9 people say you're stunning and gorgeous and you're brilliant and you can do this, but one person has a bit of a face, your heart is going to really probably be affected to the 1 instead of the 9 that literally told you you're perfect. How many of you have been in a relationship and your partner has said, I love you, and you've shoved it off? How many of you have found it difficult that when you have found somebody to let them in? Okay. Do we even know what this means? Let in where? Well, let into your heart. What does that mean? Well, this is the stuff that most of us just don't know. So I want you to realize who you are, and you're going to do that through this diagram. Now, this diagram can look kind of strange at first levels. And I suppose the main part of the story is that we live on 3 levels of understanding. We are a spiritual being. Okay? That is the truth. You are not your body. There is a spirit, there is a soul, there is an essence within you. And then we all have an intellect. Okay? We'll call that mindset. And we also live in a physical world. Okay? So we're a spiritual being living in a physical world, but we've been given the gift of having a mind, which allows us, once we learn how to use the mind, we can start to operate from a place of where we want things to be, instead of life just kind of happening to us. Now, doesn't that sound like a better idea? And since all the good stuff happens up here, you really want to go that way, right? You want to start moving up. You want to level up. This is why people say this. Why do we talk about when you're in love, you're in cloud 9? They didn't say you're in bunker number 9. They said you're on cloud 9 because your energy lifts. Isn't it amazing when you're in love? Nothing matters. Sure, no problem. The world's falling apart, but I'm fine because I'm in love. We all do it. We totally change when we're in love. And yet, let's remember, you can't see it. You can't buy it. It's this invisible thing. It's a state of mind. And the more that you can tap into that, the better life is. It's just how it operates. That's where the money is. That's where the people are. That's where the ideas are. And too often, we're using our mindsets against us and are blocking ourselves in. Now, let's go back over to this little stickman diagram. What Bob taught me was, Kim, there's 2 parts to you in your mind. There's a conscious and there's a subconscious. Now, the conscious part of your mind is where you think. It's where your mindset and your intellect lives. And then, Kim, you also have an emotional mind. So this part is the thinker. This part is the feeler. And this part is the doer, if we want to put it like that. We think, we feel, we do. Okay? I think we'd all agree to that. Now, where does the problem come in? Well, the problem comes in that we also, in the emotional part of our mind, we have a little programming system, a little biocomputer. This is where your habits and where your beliefs live. Now, that's also the emotional mind. And what I said to you earlier was energy is in motion. That's why it's called emotion. Because your energy is always in a high speed of vibration. Now, if I go back up to the top, I said love means levels of vibrational energy. What is vibration? Vibration is feeling, but there's a universal law. And what you've got to realize, if this is the first time you're hearing this, is we live in a universe that operates by universal laws. They are exact. They're not made by man. They can't be changed by man. And my advice to every single person on here is start to figure out, do you know what the laws of the universe are? This is not woohoo. This is not some weird thing. This is 100% science. Now, it depends how you've been brought up. I was brought up in a beautiful, wonderful Christian family home. So I knew love as God. Okay. But I was also sometimes taught to fear God. And that doesn't really make sense. You can't love and fear something at the same time. Because there are two poles. There's only a plus and a minus. That's why I say you can't hold ice and expect to get hot. You can't ask a question on a frequency wave and expect the answer to be on the same frequency wave. That's not going to happen because you've got a problem. So the answer is going to be on a different plane. Now, this is why I believe our thoughts around love can be quite warped sometimes. Maybe you were brought up in not a loving home. I hope that's not the case, but with the amount of people that we have on here and the statistics that we can see in the world, you're probably here. And you've learned that you're not lovable. So, of course, you're not going to go after your goal. Of course, you're not going to put your hand up in that meeting and say what you really want to say. Of course, you're not going to make any sales in your business. Because love, if you don't have it, you've got nothing. And you don't need somebody else to love to have love. This was the big realization that Bob helped me. You see, I went into relationships thinking, I'm not lovable, but I want love because it's a basic human need. It's what we all want. But I went into relationships trying to find love, trying to seek this love that I felt I didn't have. And the problem was I was going outside of myself to try and get this love. Now, many people do this. And then they get the relationship and they put everything into the relationship because they've now put so much meaning on this external thing that makes them feel loved. Well, do you know what that means? You're chasing love all the time. And you know what else it means? You're dependent on that person. You see, how would I put this? When I'm talking to my friends or even my family or even my partner, I don't have them in my life because I need them. I have them in my life because I want them. And the amount of people that are in relationships because of need instead of want is shocking. Now, there's probably people on this call that I'm talking right to your heart right now, and you kind of wish I wasn't. And you can feel it. And what I'm saying to you is if you knew how powerful you were, you'd do something about it. You'd make a change. Now, the key is you've got to realize that it's not the other person's fault. You see, a lot of us are maybe even holding on to love and heartbreak. Maybe it's heartbreak of a partner. Maybe it's heartbreak of a loss, a bereavement. Maybe it's something that happened to you 20 years ago, 10 years ago, last week. And you know what's happening? The more that you hold on to this, the more that you think it in your heart, so are you. And by you holding on to this emotion, which is energy in motion, you're going to create more of it because that's how the universe works. And you probably need to start to learn to let go. You see, there's many people on this call probably need to go through a bit of a healing process. And I don't mean healing and we're all going to do something to you. I mean, actually looking in and going, what do I need to cut the chains of? What is the weight that I'm carrying around? Mental baggage, mental weight, which will move onto your body if you don't deal with it, because everything that goes on the inside will always show up on the outside. What you do in private shows up in public. So I want you to realize that there is potentially somewhere in your subconscious mind feelings that are holding back you being able to access to all the love. Because I was not able, and even when I was a nurse, I wasn't able to give what I hadn't got. I didn't have a full, robust understanding of the mind and how life worked because nobody taught me. Even becoming a mental health nurse, I was not taught this. You know, last week, I think it was Mental Health Week. I think it should be Mental Wellbeing Week every week. Because I don't teach people how to just be okay. I teach people how to achieve anything you want. So you've got to ask yourself, what do I really want? You see, this energy that is flowing and operates by universal laws is 100% evenly present at all times. You learned this in school. Energy cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed, it moves from one form into another. Now, the big fancy word for that is transmutation of perpetual energy. And if you're thinking to yourself, whoa, okay, this is a bit much for me, I guarantee all of you have practiced transmutation of perpetual energy today. If you've ate and went to the toilet, you've practiced it. If you've made a cup of tea and boiled a kettle, you've practiced it. If you've put on the washing machine or the dishwasher, you've practiced it. You see, everything in this universe is operating by these universal laws. And the law of vibration, and this is the big one, the law of vibration is the primary law to the law of attraction. Now, I'd guess a lot of you guys here have heard about the law of attraction. Yeah? Most people, when I say to them, well, do you understand the primary law? Because law of attraction is, to be honest, it's a bit of a fluffy word that has been used. It's not real. That's not really what you should be looking at. You should be looking at cause and effect. You should be looking at all the universal spiritual laws. Why? Because you're a spiritual being. And you have a mindset that you can learn to use to move things into a physical motion. You see, let's look at this piece of paper that I've got, right? This is paper. But once upon a time, this used to be a tree. Now, until somebody became aware that you can turn wood into paper, we would never have had the paper until somebody become aware of how to do that. See, awareness is the key of the kingdom. The more aware you become, the more you can create in your life. So we're this spiritual being, we have a mindset, and we live in a physical world. And I'm sure, as we talked about the law of attraction, you've heard that thoughts turn into things. Okay. And in fact, just to make it easier, we'll put it up here. Whatever we think, okay, we will have a corresponding feeling to that thought. Okay. We think. How do we think? Well, there's an energy flowing into your consciousness at all times. That's the same energy that's keeping your heart beating. There's more to you than meets the eye. Without a doubt, you're a spiritual being. So this energy that is moving to and through you, the really interesting thing is that energy is what we call just is. Now, let me explain this for a second, because this really blew my mind when I first heard it. Bob used to say to me, and he'll still say to me, and it's something that I've shared this week on many different videos, a 3-step approach when anything happens. It is what it is. You either control it or it controls you. Number 2, harvest the good. Find the good in it. Because there's good in everything. Why is there good in everything? Because there's a law of polarity that states in this world, there are negatives and there are positives. The glass can be half empty or half full, depending on what way you look at it. Somebody might think right now the world is in a terrible economic state. But I know people that would say it's never been better. So how can there be all these different perceptions of the same thing. Well, that's because the energy that flows to us isn't negative or positive. It's just this pure energy. And you and I, we're the only creatures on the planet that have been given an intellect which allows us to choose. We've been given a gift. We've all been given it. We all own it. And it's the keys to your kingdom. It is the keys to love, enlightenment, happiness, fulfillment, joy, prosperity, abundance, everything, you name it, all the good stuff. And this gift gives you the ability to choose. So that's why I said when anything happens outside of you, you get to choose whether it's good or bad. It's your choice. Now, you don't know that if you don't know that. You got to become aware that you have choice. Then you've got to be aware of how you stick to your choice and keep it. You know, because when something happens, what was the second part? Harvest the good, find the good in it. So when something happens, and remember, you operate through your senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell. And as you see through your senses, because unfortunately, here's the problem. We are obsessed with the physical. Prove it. Show me it. Give me evidence. You know, that's what my parents said to me when I wanted to leave nursing and start my own business. Show me how you can do it. Show me the plan. I didn't have one. I just wanted to do it. I felt that I could. I had a step-by-step formula. Got to go and try it. Because, see, I started to learn that I am more than just my body. I am more than just my name. I am more than just my circumstance, conditions, and environment. I had £4.20 in my pocket. I hated myself. That was my reality. The physical reality was I couldn't afford dog food. But that's because nobody told me about the other two most important parts of me. That I'm God's highest form of creation. I have a mindset and a gift that I can choose to see the world how I want to see it. All science and theology have taught us we become what we think about. So it's kind of important to choose the right thoughts, because everyone knows your thoughts turn into things. And if you don't believe me, start to look at your results in life. Start to look at the things. Ask yourself, what is your relationship like? Ask yourself what your finances are like. Ask yourself what all of these results, your health, your job, your career, whatever it is, when you look at your results, what you're seeing, whether you believe me or not, is a manifestation of what you have been previously thinking and what you have planted in your heart. Hence why he says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Not just in your head. Like, how many of you have, maybe you're in business, in a sales conversation perhaps, and in your head you're going on, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get the sale. And then you get to the money part in the conversation and your heart just kind of goes, I don't want to do this. Anybody felt that? Yeah. And what happens is you feel a wee bit sick and you kind of dance around and you're not sure, am I going to go there? Am I not going to go there? And then it becomes so awkward that you just kind of know, I don't want to go there. And then you're trying to eat your words to get back out of there. Anyone ever experienced this in sales? Or asking somebody out on a date? Doesn't matter what the situation is. There's been a time where your head and your heart have been in a bit of friction, yeah? Well, that's because the subconscious part of your mind, which is your emotional mind, which is your heart, is the part that's controlling your results in life. 96 to 98% of all your behaviors in this life, and remember, your behaviors is going to impede on your actions. So 96 to 98% of your actions in this life are governed by the subconscious mind. Now, if you're holding on to something painful, you can't be thinking about what you really want in life. Because when the mind is filled with fear, doubt, worry, pain, or negative energy of any matter, there can't be positive energy. Like, you can't be down here and up here at the same time. Now think about this. Everybody in here, I'm sure, has been on a radio station before. Yeah. And let's just say, we'll say, make this purple. Let's say this is Suck FM. Okay. It just worst tunes ever. It's dreary, right? And then let's just call this one Dynamite FM, just for the fun. Right? Well, you cannot be on the low Suck FM listening to sad, depressing music and hear what's on Dynamite FM and feel happy. It can't happen. Now, you can definitely switch between the two very fast. But my point is, if I'm on Suck FM, I'm going to hear that type of music. If I'm on Dynamite FM or Jazz FM or whatever, I'm going to hear jazz. If I move to Rock FM, I'm going to hear rock music. You see, every single thing operates on frequencies. When we think about the sales situation that we just talked about, you want, if we're really honest, you want high quality paying clients. If you're in business, who wouldn't, right? You want high quality paying clients. Now, do you think they listen to Dynamite FM or Suck FM in their car? A high quality client. Go on, give it a stab in the dark. A high quality client who's decisive, makes decision, pays upfront and in full, refers, does the work, is coachable, it gives repeat business. Does that person listen to Dynamite FM or Suck FM? I got to see the chat box. Yeah, Dynamite FM. And there's such a learning in this, guys. If you're listening to Suck FM, but you really want high quality paying clients, you're hanging out in the wrong frequency wave. Do you know what you're going to attract? Oh, I'd really love that, but I don't have enough to pay for it. Oh, I really love that idea. Just send me some information. I'll get back to you. Well, I just can't really decide. I don't know if I want it or not. I want my money back. Whatever it may be. Or just a blank, no, I'm not interested. You see, the key that I'm trying to get across to you is, I used to be on Suck FM and I really wanted everything that was on Dynamite FM, but I didn't even know that existed. And what I learned was that I have a mindset that I can use to flip the switch and move to a different frequency. And if I start listening to a different frequency, if I start operating on a different frequency from a place of love, from a place of service, from a place of, the basic number one rule of life, and you don't have to be religious to know it, is that we got to love one another. Now, most of us don't even love ourselves. If you really listen to the little voice that's going on inside, that you've been holding on to, it's keeping you stuck on these lower frequencies. And then you're going out into the world and you're trying to work harder and you're trying to do more. And I'm going to talk to more people. And I'm going to do this strategy and I'm going to do that course and I'm going to get that degree. And I'm going to change, I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to change my appearance and somebody will love me then. I've been there, done that, got the six pack, didn't get the validation. And the weight came back on. How many people have went through habitual eating cycles where suddenly you start to feel good and then you kind of go, oh, well, I can have the cheesecake tonight. And then suddenly it's another one. And then I've been working so hard. I'm not going to go to the gym this week because we need rest. Rest is really important. And we talk ourselves into why we should stay stuck. Well, this is this programming that's going on because you're not maybe totally aware of how to use your mindset. Now, if you're living solely on a physical plane, you're missing out on the two best things of life. And in these two poles that I've been talking about, this is the light and this is the darkness. Okay? And both are here in this universe. But it's only you, depending on your thinking process, will decide which one you choose. Because in the little 3 points that I said was, it is what it is. So everything just is. If you ask anyone who's religious, what is God? They will tell you God just is. If you ask anybody in science, what is energy? Energy just is. Now, in my book, I don't personally care what title you give this power that flows into your consciousness. I think too much arguments, wars, lots of stuff has happened just over the word. And you got to realize that words are just a vibration. Okay. So this power, you can call it God, universe, infinite intelligence, source energy. I personally call it God because that's what I believe. But you also don't have to believe that. I personally believe that, but you might feel, well, I'm okay with energy right now, Kim. Okay, great. That's okay. That's not bad. So there's this power, and the scientists have said, okay, well, if you think it's energy, it just is. It's neither negative or positive. It's just whatever way it's charged. Okay, right. And then what is God? God just is. It's this one consciousness. It's where everything comes from. Okay, what's the universe? Well, how did the world start? When we all get back to it, it all comes back to faith in something because none of us know. And this really comes down to then, what do you want to think? What do you want to believe? How do you want to live your life? Now, if you don't know these two very important parts, the spiritual and the intellect, and maybe you're holding on to something, you're not going to be able to see the light. Because the way I think of this, and you'll have heard me talk about it before, a paradigm is your beliefs and your habits. They live in your subconscious mind. It's in every cell of your body. So, people will say you're either optimist or pessimist. I always think of my mom, and I always have a good giggle with her because, just no matter what, she'll find a reason of why it's not good. And we're always joking about it. And I go, but that's just a pattern. It's just like you're looking through these little goggles, and no matter how much, you're only going to see what you see, what you're programmed to see. And this has come from years of conditioning. Even think about money. We were taught, oh, don't love money. Money's bad. And you can't love God and love money. Oh my goodness. Then you're definitely like going in the wrong direction. But this is totally not correct. You want to love people and use money. Money is not bad. Money is not evil. If you think about money and you think about money in the negative, guess what? You're going to be on Suck FM and there ain't no money down there. If you can start to look at money and find why it can help you express your love more. Money doesn't make you any happier. Money just gives you more choice. And since everything in this life comes back to love, you're either doing it for the love of what you do, or you're doing it for the love of your family, or you're doing it for the love of your community. It's born into us, guys. It's the essence of who we are. There's the law of increase. And that says we always want more. But then, of course, we live in a world where as soon as you start to want goals and want more, suddenly, oh, it's not so good. You shouldn't want. You should just settle. No. To love fully, you got to experience life on all levels. You got to have your soul alive. You've got to be spiritually aligned. You've got to have the comforts and the things that you want in this life. Why not? It's one time. And yet so many of us are being weighed down by these emotional blocks, past traumas, past experiences. You know, when we go out looking for a relationship or even going out into a sales situation, you're going out with the old perception of what happened in the past. And anything that represents you will represent to you. Even think of yourself in sales. Do you love sales? Or does the word sales completely drive you insane? Where'd you get that idea? Maybe mom and dad, maybe upbringing. You've got to learn that one, it is what it is. Two, you've got to harvest the good. In every situation, there is a plus and a minus. And if you can learn to shape your thinking around the positive, around the light, the darkness will give way. You don't have to worry about getting rid of the darkness. Do you know the amount of times people ask me, Kim, how do I stop these negative thoughts? Think about positive thoughts. It's very simple. But people go, no, but Kim, but how do I get rid of these negative thoughts? Don't give it any energy. Whatever you give energy to expands. So even in asking the question, how do I get rid of these negative thoughts? You're holding on to the negative thoughts. Now I want you to think about this for a second. Imagine I throw you a ball right now and you catch it. And I then throw you another ball. Well, you can't catch it because you're holding on to this one. Now, if you're holding on to pain, if you're holding on to sorrow, if you're holding on to false premises of who you are, who you think you are, then you're not allowing this amazing potential energy to come in because there's no room, because it's so full of pain. So the third part to the teaching was, it is what it is, harvest the good, forgive the rest. Do you know the only way that I found the love of my life was by being grateful for the person that didn't treat me so good? Now that's the last thing any of us want to do, is forgive. And I'm not saying that if something terrible has happened to you, that you've got to go and forgive them. I'm not talking about really the person or the thing or the situation. I'm talking about you. What do you need to forgive yourself for? What do you need to let go of? Because you might want the abundance. You might want to achieve big things in your life, but you cannot grab onto the opportunities, to the positives, to the love of your life. You can't even be present with your family and share love when you're hanging on to all the other stuff that's outside of you. You just can't do it. So you've got to let go. Now, in order to let go, you've got to abandon completely. I'm going to give you one little nugget. Well, it's not even a little nugget. It's a massive boulder of a nugget. And I usually only share this with my clients, but my goodness, I just think it's brilliant. Let's imagine, and it's not, I did not originate this idea. It was another teacher that I used to listen to. Let's imagine this is a basin of water, right? And let's say we've got some water in it and it's up to this level. And then let's just imagine we put a little cork in the water, okay? What always happens to the cork? Why did I place it there? Because the cork is light and it is on the top of the water, right? Now, think about this for a second. If I want the cork to go to the bottom, what do I have to do? I have to place resistance on the cork. I have to pull it down, right? Now, think about it this way. Let's get rid of this for a second. Let's say now the cork is at the bottom because I'm holding it, because you won't just go to the bottom. It's not heavy enough. Why? Because of the vibrational energy. So if I pull the cork down, it's now at the bottom, okay? Because I've placed resistance on it. So I've worked by universal laws and I've put a resistance, I've changed the flow of it and I've pulled it down. Now, if I want the cork to go back up to the top of the water, if I want to release the resistance that I'm placing on the cork, what do I got to do? Do I push it back to the top of the water? I just let it go. Now think about it. If this was in my hand, it's me that's keeping it here. If I want it to go back to the water, I don't push it up. I just let go. And it floats back up naturally. Why? Because cork is less dense than water due to the vibrational components of the cork. You see, even a cork is in a high speed of vibration. Water is in a high speed of vibration. You are in a high speed of vibration. What is creating the vibration and the intensity of the vibration? Your emotions, your heart, the amount of love. So when people say to me, Kim, how do you attract high quality paying clients into your life? I say, well, first and foremost, you got to be one. Because you can't be on a low frequency and attract something up here. So I got to move into vibrational harmony with what I want. That's the key to success. How do I move into vibrational harmony with what I want? What does that even mean? Well, as we're nearly finished, let me bring some closure to this. Oh. Right now, this is how you look, regardless whether you believe me or not. It's just the truth. And you have an emotional mind, and you have a thinking mind, and you go and you take actions in life. Okay? Now, the actions in which you take in life, it's not really about what you do in life. It's about how you do it. Right? If somebody came and asked you out on a date and said, will you go out with me? You'd be like, maybe not. But if they came up to you and give you that look and just very smoothly just kind of flirted with you, well, that's a bit more appealing, isn't it? And why I'm saying there's a difference is because those two people said the same thing. Will you go out on a date with me? But they said it in different ways. Their energy was different. Their attitude was different. So the key is, yeah, you still have to ask the person out on the date, but the key is being in the right attitude, in alignment with the outcome that you really want. If I go in with a negative attitude, I'm going to get negative back. I'm definitely going to get a no. I mean, nobody's going to say, yeah, I would love to let me just grab my stuff. You're so much fun. That's not going to happen. It's like when you are on, I don't know, you're in your living room and your friend calls you, and it's the friend that you're going to be on the phone for an hour and they've got another problem and they've had another breakup. And you're like, do I answer the phone or not? What can I say? Am I here? Am I not here? Who's felt like that? Your whole heart and stomach is just kind of went, oh no. Now you haven't even picked up the phone, but you see with your eyes who's calling. When you see it with your eyes, cells of recognition flash onto the screen of your conscious mind, and it reminds you, warning, you might be here for a while. Okay, warning, she's not going to listen to me anyway. She's going to go and do it again, take him back, and I told her not to the last time. And this is what's going through your mind. So what does that do? Well, you have this thought that moves into your emotional mind, which creates a negative feeling. And then, of course, your action is you don't pick up the phone. Or you pick up the phone and you're not in a great attitude, and there's really no point in anybody being on the phone, right? Now, this is so vitally important because what you think and what you feel, that vibration, because that's what it is. Remember, this deals with emotions, energy and motion. So this energy and motion moves through to your body, through the central nervous system, and changes your body. Okay? This happens all the time. If I started to talk to you about spiders or chalk down a blackboard or snakes or anything that you don't like, you've heard it, you've thought it, you feel it, and I don't like that, right? It's the same when you meet somebody. It's like, you'll know You know, people say, well, that first kiss, was it meant to be or not? Now, I wouldn't really go into that deeply, but you know when it's not meant to be, you're like, and they mightn't even have done anything, but you're just like, nope, not for me. So our thoughts impact our feelings. Our feelings are expressed through our body, and that is what we call attitude. Okay. Now, what we put out by the law of cause and effect, if we put energy out this way, there's a law of cause and effect that says it's coming right back to me. And I'll actually make that blue because it's equal to what's going out here. If I put good energy out, I'm going to get good energy back. If I put negative energy out, I'm going to get negative energy back. This is what is controlling these levels that you're operating on. Your attitude. That's what's controlling the temperature and the quality of your life. Now, here's one more little thing. Not only do you operate on all of these planes, but if we think about this in a partnership, or this could be a love relationship, this could be a sales relationship. When you're talking to another human being who is a spiritual being with an intellect living in a physical body, you've got to realize that we communicate on 3 levels. The first level is from conscious to conscious, and that will happen through words, gestures, or writing. Okay, that's how we communicate. So I'm doing that to you right now. I'm drawing. You can hear me. You're hearing my words. You're seeing my drawing. We're communicating. But then the second level is the emotional connection. You and I are also communicating on this level because I'm sharing my thoughts with you, which are going into your mind. And of course, you're having an emotional response or reaction to whatever I'm saying. Now, I don't know what that is, but you're definitely having one. You either agree with me or you don't agree with me, right? Because there's a polar opposite. It can be one or the other. That's why I don't fight with anybody. I'm like, okay, think what you want to think. I don't mind. I'm not going to fight you on it. But think about this. We've got this in common. Let's just do it from a relationship, physical, like a sexual relationship, partner. You want to connect with them on a conscious level, or you wouldn't get married to them or be with them, right? You want to have things in common on a conscious level. Then the next thing you're checking for is there that wee feeling? Is it love, right? And that's the vibration. And then, and we're not going to go into it, but you also want the physical side of things. That's the third level. Oh. Now, in a relationship, and if you're in a relationship, think to yourself, are you on a level 1, 2, or 3 relationship with your partner? So 1, do you get on a conscious level? He's interested in the same things. You can then go, yeah, I am. Do you connect on an emotional level? Can you talk to each other? Can you be with each other? Like, is there vulnerability? Is there connection? And then, is there physical connection? Now, when you can do all 3 ticks, you're going to have a really beautiful relationship. Now, some people, and that's alignment. That's thoughts, feelings, and actions on alignment. That's what you want in everything. But then I also know people that are not really in love. They're really just in habit. I've been in those relationships before. It was comfortable. Now, when you live in habit, that doesn't happen. Or if it does happen, it's another habit and it's really not serving you or the person. Because sometimes we go to this, the physical part, the sexual part, to solve a pain that's going on in here because you want to be wanted. So you can start to see that it can be a whole mix. There's sometimes people that don't get on at all. Maybe you just want to go and see somebody for a night and that's what they're having, but it's still not fulfilling. You got to have it all 3. And since the subconscious mind is what controls your habits and your beliefs, then we've really got to look at what is the habits that we've got in our relationship. Like, we all know what it was like when you were in love and you could have stayed up all night. You had so much energy. Where'd that energy come from? Same place it's always been. But now sometimes you go to bed and you don't even say goodnight. Some people don't even sleep in the same beds. Now, that is not life that is worthy of you. You're worth more than that. And I'm not saying this is your fault or their fault. I don't blame anything. I take responsibility for my life. I think it's the best thing Bob ever taught me. I was looking people to fill these holes instead of me just loving me. Then when I was able to let go of pain and love me, I was able to love others. I can now live fully. And I don't need love to feel love. See, most people are what's the opposite of love? Well, fear and hate and all the negatives. And we live in a world that, my goodness, you just need to turn on the TV and you're terrified. So we wonder why we're not having those precious moments in relationships. It's because we're inhabiting fear more than we are love. If you're in a sales conversation, let's now say that you've got an idea, because this is how sales works. And if you're in sales, then that's something that I teach at a very high level. If you've got an idea, so let's say this is you, this is your prospect, okay? You've got an idea that you want to convey into your prospect's mind, which is usually, this is how I can solve your problem, right? But you know, and I know, we tend to spend more money when we're emotionally connected to something. How many times have you walked into a shop and went, oh my goodness, I love it, I'm having it, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I want it, right? We've all been there. And that's great when that happens, but not everybody's usually there, because here's the prospect and all they're hearing is, how much is it? Why are they thinking how much it is? Because they're thinking from a lack belief around money. So they're not even listening to what you say. Do you know how many people text me and go, Kim, how much it is to work with you? And I go, what do you need to know for? Like, are you gonna pay me right now? Because you don't need the money until you've made the decision, and you don't even know what I do. So why are you asking me the price? It's ridiculous. You go into the high-end brands and shops, they don't put the price on the items because it's a different mindset. It's a different thinking. I do not operate on Suck FM. I don't do discounts. I don't do sales. I don't do any of that lack. Do you know what I do? I add value. I give more. So instead of reducing price, what I do is I give more, because giving is the true answer to love. How many of you love giving Christmas presents rather than receiving? Why is that? Because you're love. You love to make people happy. It is the essence of who you are. So in a sales conversation, your prospect has paradigms around money. So they're thinking about money and they're in their head thinking about money. You as a professional salesperson, your job is to get them emotionally involved in what you have, because you know it is going to do them good. Now, the universal laws that govern everything, they're impersonal. There's also people that can use this for not so good. And I want you to realize that all comes down to your own belief system. And if you're selling something that you believe in and you feel honorable for, then it's easy. Like, I believe in everything that I do with every cell in my body, and I will do it till the day that I die, because I know it's the truth, and the truth resonates with everybody in the heart. So the key is you've got to get them from their head into their heart, and then you've got to get them to take action by whatever it is, paying or signing up or whatever it is. Do you know how many people call themselves salespeople, but they never ask for a sale? They just have wee chit chats and a meeting about another meeting, and they talk about it all day long. They stay on a conscious level. And then there's the salesperson that stays on a conscious level. And as soon as they know, oh, I got to ask for the money, in here flares up around money because, oh, I don't want to talk about the money. So what do you think the vibrational energy is you're giving the person? Money worries. If think about this, whatever you think, whatever you feel is then the energy you're going out with. So if I'm in a sales position and I want you to buy off me and I feel that it's a good fit for both of us and this is a right thing to do, then I cannot doubt at the last minute. I cannot get lost in my heart and think I'm not good enough, because the energy just changes completely. And the person will more than likely turn around and go, I'll go and think about it. Sounds good. That's not what you want. You want somebody to go, yes, here you go. This is where the handshake comes in. You ever wonder why people shook hands back in the day? We can't really do it so much now, because it was, here's the agreement. This is how it's going to change your life. Now let's shake on it. It's a 3-pronged process for everything. You meet somebody that you fancy, you like them on an intellectual level, you feel there's a connection, and then you end up having a bit more of a connection. That's just how it works. It's how everything works. Now, why did I say you're the most important? Well, if your heart's not full, if you are still holding on to this problem and that pain and this situation, and when it didn't happen, that's what's going to be controlling your energy. So when I said to you, there's only 3 points to think of to really tap into love and abundance, is you've got to realize it is what it is. Everything just is. It doesn't mean anything until you give it meaning. That's just life. I can hold up a piece of paper. I can hold up a £100 note. Everybody would say the £100 note is more valuable. And you're correct, but it's a perceived value. They're just both pieces of paper. So it's our perception around love. It's our perception around money. It's our perception around relationships. It's our perception around ourselves that makes anything, because everything is just what it is. Does that make sense? Some of you like people with dark hair. Some of you like people with blonde hair. Well, which is better, black or blonde? Neither. They're just your preference, So we do have these choices, but the thing that really bugs me is most of your habits and your choices are coming from past conditioning that was handed down to you from mom and dad. Oh, don't believe in that stuff about love. Phew. Whatever. I don't know what you heard or what you didn't hear, what you seen or what you didn't see. Maybe, I can't really remember. I never seen fights with my mom and dad, but I also didn't really see like super loads of affection. Now they loved each other, but they weren't like the cuddly type, And I'm a big, massive cuddler. Like I just like to cuddle all day long. So I think I'm more cuddly now because I didn't see that or really get it. So you've got to realize that every experience in your life is changing you to do what you're going to do. And some of your beliefs are holding you back. You've got to harvest the good. What is good about you? What is good about your relationship? See, if you're in a relationship right now or a job or any situation and you don't like it, don't keep talking about why you don't like it, because you're just creating more of it. You're perpetuating it. Ask yourself, what is good about it? I remember when I was still in nursing and I didn't want to be in nursing. Well, the natural thing to do is, I don't want to go to work. Another how many days to go? And you just you see everything that's annoying you. People are annoying you. They don't even have to talk. And you're just like, you're annoying me, right? Because no matter what, you're in a negative vibration. So what Bob taught me to do was, Kim, what's the good thing about your job? What's the good thing in that relationship that really was toxic and not good in this? I mean, you just couldn't find any good in it, but I found good in it. Do you know what I find good in it? Because if I hadn't have been in that toxic relationship, I would never be here today. That was a part of my story that needed to happen. But when I found the good, I was then able to let go. Because sometimes And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes the pain is more familiar. Sometimes the pain of an ex or an old situation, sometimes you actually like thinking about it and talking about it, looking at pictures, listening to music, because in some way it's familiar. And in some weird, wonderful way, you're just desperate to feel something. So sometimes that's closer to get to. What did I say earlier? Due to the law of polarity, if there is light, the polar opposite is dark. If there is life, the polar opposite is death. If there is creation, being creative, then you can also be competitive. Okay? If you're happy, you could also be sad. My message to you tonight is that there only is this one consciousness that we're all living in. We're all an extension of that. We all have minds. You cannot escape that. I have two little Jack Russells, and they don't have choice of thought. They don't jump up and say, no, Kim, I would like that much dog food. Okay? They don't make decisions. I make the decisions. And what you've got to realize is you, listen to me right now, you're living on this blue line somewhere. And if you think of it like almost like this seesaw, you want to be as far up here. You want to start moving towards the light. You want to start moving towards the ways that you can. You want to start moving towards the creative solutions. Because this is where the solution is, this is where the problem is. And so many people are looking at the problem going, oh, this is so annoying. I really want the solution. I mean, I know it's over here, but I'm just going to look this way. It doesn't even remotely make sense. I really want to find the love of my life, but let me tell you all the things that he did to me. I really want to create abundance and joy in my life and prosperity, but my goodness, would you hear what my reality is? Doesn't make sense, does it? And we all live on this somewhere. And the greatness and the whatever it is that you want, everything you want is up here. And the further you go down that side, the darker it becomes. And the darker that it becomes, the more chaos there is in your life, the more sickness. Because remember, here's health, here's sickness, here's richness, here's poverty. Now, isn't it interesting how these all things go hand in hand? People who are in poverty usually get sick. People who are sick usually live in poverty. People who are, have darker thoughts or in a darker place, they get sick, and then they probably aren't able to fulfill their job. So again, they have limited money. The real thing is we've got to move on to faith and remove fear. Faith and fear are both two things, just like love, that we're asked to believe in that we cannot see, but both exist. And both will give you whatever you choose. So my final thoughts to you tonight is, I wanted to give you an understanding of how you operate. I want you to really sit and look at this and go, where am I on this? Who am I? And where am I going? Are you going this way, or are you going this way? Or are you the person that sometimes changes your mind every 2 seconds? Or are you the person that starts to go towards the light and then you procrastinate and then you just automatically kind of move backwards into the dark? It doesn't, last thing that I'd say is so many people are trying to go to the light, but they're still holding on to the weight and the boulders. And if it's not weight and boulders of old pain or memories, it is purely paradigms saying you're not good enough. And it's like a bungee cord stuck to you, and you're running and you're working harder than you've ever worked, and you're trying to do more, and you're doing more than you even done last year, but you're still getting paid less. You're more exhausted. You're getting ill. Relationships aren't great. And you're like, what is going on? All I'm saying to you is you got to cut the cord. And how you do that is not something I can give you in 5 seconds, but it is something that I can give you over a period of time. Now, tonight, I'm not going to sell you anything. Tonight, I wanted to give you awareness, because awareness is the gift that Bob Proctor gave to me. And it's a gift that I will continue to give, because giving is the art of life. You know, the more that you give, the more that you'll receive. And you never give to receive. If you're sitting right now thinking, I want more love from my partner, give them more love. Are you giving them what you want? Because sometimes we just sit and complain about our partner and go, well, they're not doing this and they're not doing that. And they're always on that computer and we never have any blah, blah, blah. What did you do? What have you given? And if you say to me, well, Kim, I've given love. Well, hold on a minute. Have you done it from a place of intentional love, or are you doing it from a conscious level, holding a negative vibration? I'm sure they're not going to listen this time anyway. You've got to make sure you're coming from a place of love in everything that you do. If you want more clients in your business, if you want better team players in your company, if you want to attract anything into your life, you've got to first be it. You've got to give out the energy of that. If you have little money in your life and you want more prosperity, find a way to give money. If you only have £10, give away £1. The more that you give, the more you receive. If you want patience, give more patience. If you want more attention, give more attention. Do you know, a client asked me one time, Kim, I've got kids and they're just always wanting my attention. And I go, yeah. Well, have you ever went to them to give them attention before they came looking at from you? And the answer is usually no. And if you've got kids, I would advise, I don't have kids, but if you do, I would advise, why don't you make them a priority for once? Why don't you go to them and go, right, what do you want to do? Because it will shock them and they'll only put up with you for 5 minutes anyway. Instead of you hoping that your partner will come in and give you a kiss, why don't you do it? Like, we've all got to take more responsibility for our lives, because they're our lives. Now, I could go on and on and on. I think you've got my point by this stage. Now, what I want to offer you tonight is I want to offer you an opportunity to discuss any of this. If this has resonated with you in any shape or form, I think it is your duty to acknowledge what you're feeling right now, because what you're feeling right now is real, guys. And I've got 2 things to offer you tonight. I want to give you 2 opportunities. One opportunity is we will be doing an event on down the road a wee bit. I can't even remember the dates, but it is going to be absolutely sensational. We've got 5 expert speakers talking across 5 days with one solution. And I have already seen massive success in all of our clients over the years. And over 5 days, we're going to give you the breakdown of how all of this goes together. I can't do it in a 90-minute webinar, okay? But trust me, you spend 5 days with me, another 7-figure entrepreneurs. We've got Peggy McCall. We've got teachings from Bob. We've got teachings from lots of different people. It's all there, and you have that opportunity. The other link, and I've just popped it into the chat box. Let me just do this. The other link is, you don't want to wait till the end. You want to get on a phone and chat to us. We're here. Okay. Now, you don't have to do anything, but it's all there for you if you want it. So tonight, I just want you to really ask yourself, you know, when it comes to the end of your life, and I don't want to be morbid, but I want you to really be able to ask yourself, did I love fully? Did I really love myself and love others? Was I really doing what I wanted to do? Did I love every day? Because there's no point. If you don't love what you're doing every day, there's no point. Steve Jobs always said that he asked himself every morning, if today was the last day doing what I'm about to do, would I love to do what I'm about to do? And if the answer is no, then he knows he needs to stop. But how many days, months, years has it been that you've continued to be in a relationship, be in a situation, be in a job, even just be where you are right now with the results that you possibly know are way subpar than what you're capable of? You got to make a decision. So tonight, I'm not asking for anything apart from if tonight has resonated with you, if it has made sense to you, if you want to further this conversation, then we're here. And I've put a call booking link in. You can also do both. I would seriously suggest both, okay? And this is your opportunity. I don't know when it will come again, but it's here. It's in the comments box. Please copy and paste those links so that you have them. And I really hope that tonight has made sense to you. Has it made sense? Have you enjoyed it? Good. Let me see all your faces. Excellent. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's all I've got for you. So it has been my pleasure. It's always been my pleasure. I'll put it in the chat box one more time because I can see everyone's going crazy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being vulnerable. I think if you really ask some questions, good questions, from a place of looking in the right direction, what would I really love? Not what do I not want? You're going to change your whole life. And tonight, I'm so grateful for you being here. I'm so grateful for you sharing in this webinar masterclass. And I encourage you to act on whatever your heart is telling you right now. And I will see you hopefully on our 5-day event. And even more, hopefully, we'll see you on the inside. But right now, the next best step is just to do whatever the next best step is for you. And I will leave you up to make that decision. All right. It has been my pleasure. Thank you for being here. Much love and light to all of you. And I'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye.